TV looks great. Over. Okay, Roger.
Again, the illusion they are attempting to create is the Earth at a distance to demonstrate their far journey from it and their ability to survive passing through the Van Allen radiation belts. Understand, too, that only about 20 seconds of this raw footage was ever broadcast to the public, and these conversations discussing their deception were believed to be private. Until now. Here they discuss that these television transmissions were in fact not broadcast live as everyone believed. They were first screened and edited for playback later.
Roger, Neil, we just wanted a narrative such that we can, when we get to playback, we can sort of correlate what we're seeing. Thank you very much.
Here they discuss the fact that they have turned out the lights and have blocked out sunlight from entering the spacecraft through the other windows as to not cause any reflected light to fall onto the spacecraft's wall in the foreground.
Okay, very good. Well, we shut out the sun coming in some of the other windows into the spacecraft, so it's looking through the number one window, and there isn't any reflected light.
The reason this was done is so that the truth of the matter would not be revealed. It is this. Though the federal government would have you believe that this is a view of Earth from a distance out of the spacecraft's window as it nears the moon, it is not. What they have ingeniously done is placed the camera at the back of the spacecraft and centered the lens on a circular window in the foreground, outside of which it is completely filled with the Earth in low orbit. The circumference of the window then appears to be the diameter of the Earth at a distance, with the darkened walls of the spacecraft appearing to be the blackness of space around it. That is why they wanted the interior dark and blocked out the sun from entering through the other windows. Here you can see the extruded window, probably 2 inches thick at the bottom. This is because the Earth's shine is coming in at a downward angle. It also causes the Earth to appear to be an irregularly shaped circle, for you are seeing the outside of the window at the bottom and the inside of the window at the top, which together form 2 different sized halves of a circle. Subsequently, this take was never used. As they perfected the shot, a crescent-shaped piece of black material was inset slightly into the window to create the illusion of the Earth's terminator line dividing night and day. It is uncannily convincing. During this segment, intended to be edited and played back later for the worldwide television audience, dated July 18th, 1969, Neil Armstrong condemns himself as he states that he is 130,000 miles out, or halfway to the moon, as the NASA flight log also states on this date, when he is in reality in low Earth orbit of a few hundred miles.
Roger, Houston, Apollo 11. Calling in from about 130,000 miles out.
Here, during another segment, also intended to air after review, Neil Armstrong falsely explains to the viewers how the shot is attained by putting the camera's lens to the window's glass, as it would have to be if they were the claimed distance away from the Earth.
We only have one window that has a view of the Earth, and it's filled up with a TV camera.
If the window was completely filled up with a TV camera, as he stated, then an astronaut's arm would not be able to get between the camera and the window, as it obviously does here in this outtake.
South America becomes invisible just off beyond the Terminator or inside the shadow.
You can also notice how the astronaut operating the camera reacted to the mistake by attempting to pan away from it.
Blue gas, see white bands of major cloud formations across the Earth, and
This is a segment that they believed wasn't even being recorded, much less suitable for broadcast, for the lens was being zoomed out and the scene was being changed to that of an interior of the astronauts at work, and apparently the stop button popped back up on the recorder without notice. Here is the diffused work light that they used to see camera controls, but not throw light onto the spacecraft's wall. Here they remove part of the crescent insert. Finally, the iris is opened up and you can see the real location of the camera and the very bright and near Earth out the window. Here is the slate for the 19th of July, and the same shot of trickery on the 19th of July, and then the 20th, and the same misleading shot on the 20th. Later that evening, they were said to be walking on the moon.
Greetings and salutations everyone, and welcome back for some more Smoking Truth TV. As some of you already know, I am your host Nada, and boy have I found us some juice to squeeze today. Coming from someone who didn't want to create a YouTube channel in the first place, I had to pinch myself this morning because I couldn't believe that I'd made it to show number 20. But as the saying goes, one does not want to blow one's own trumpet, so instead, let's get on with today's show that I entitled A Weird Thing Happened in the Lower Part of the Ether. The 5.5 minute video I clipped at the beginning of the show was from a documentary film called A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon, that was made by a filmmaker called Bart Sabril. You can find the whole 46-minute film on his YouTube channel, and I also have it saved in a playlist that I entitled Moon Landing Debunked. Now, as much fun as it would be to sit here and pick apart all of NASA's lies and fakery footage, this is not what this video is about today. Instead, I'm going to be talking about something that nobody else seems to be talking about. Well, at least to my knowledge. Although this episode won't be quite as long as some of my other videos, I still think you will find it just as interesting. Here, let me show you what I have found. What we're looking at here is supposed to be the Earth from a window of a plane flying around 35,000 feet. Oops, sorry, I mean from a space shuttle that is in outer space. But what are we looking at here? Before I go to the next slide, can any of you see anything weird in this picture? To me, it looks like there is a beast that is coming up from the ocean that has a human face, that also has a bunch of other faces appearing around it. I can also see what looks like a big sea creature to the right. As some of you already know, I have no laptop or computer, and I also don't have Photoshop or anything like that on the phone I'm using. But if there is anyone watching that knows of someone who has already put this image in Photoshop and done the investigations on it, please put the name of the channel and the video title in the comments below, as I would really like to see this in a more clearer image. But the one thing I was able to do was alter the colour and contrast and also blow it up in size. Here, let me show you what I've managed to achieve with my primitive tech. So as I was saying, you can clearly see what looks like some kind of beast with a human face, with its lower part of the body that seems to be coming up out of the sea. I can't quite work it out, but this humanoid looks like it has something on its shoulders. A lamb perhaps? Or are we looking at the front of what looks like a rearing horse? We can also see a couple of faces here and here, and possibly here as well. This part of the picture, at first glance, looked to be some kind of big sea creature, but the more I study this image, the more it looks like a scorpion tail, and now this part of the picture now looks like a picture of a small boy that seems to be walking away in the distance. I find this all very strange, especially as this is meant to have been film footage from the Earth back in 1969. But am I surprised? No, not really, because most of us know what the creepy Masons are like, as they love to fill their stuff with symbolism and satanic worship. This is another picture that was taken from the same footage. I knew there was something not quite right with this as well, but I couldn't quite work out why. Well, that was until I altered the colours and contrast. Then I started to see something, and it became more clearer after I rotated the photo. Here, let's check out what I have found. Now you tell me, do you see anything in this picture? I will give you just a few moments before I tell you what my thoughts are. Okay, that should be long enough. So to me it looks like there is a baby that is hugging what looks like a lion's face, and some weird creepy looking creature wearing a long mask. Now there's no doubt in my mind that George Lucas knows who this is. I'm sure there is a lot more to this photo that I'm not seeing, but like I said, I don't have Photoshop or any kind of software to be able to make this picture more clearer. The one thing that did stand out to me when watching this video clip was when the narrator was saying this was shot and was intended to be edited later on the playback. Going by that statement, could it mean that all these images we see were added later? As some of us know all too well that NASA is famous for their photo editing, as their data visualizer and designer has already told us. It is photoshopped because it has to be. But the other thing on my mind is, could all of this have been the early stages of Project Bluebeam technology? With all the deep research I have done over the years, there's no doubt that NASA lies to us about their underwater adventures while sailing on their boat on the open space of the ocean while calculating the rates of knots they're sailing. And going by the faces of the 3 astronauts, it's just too telling that nobody has ever landed on our illuminary holographic plasma moon, and the only moon that these men have ever stepped foot on is inside of some kind of Hollywood movie set like this one. There is one way we could put an end to all of this, and that would be if we were all shown the telemetry data of the so-called Apollo 11 missions, but as NASA has already explained, they have no idea what them tapes are. Is anyone else having another Star Wars flashback here?
Don't try to frighten us with your sorcerer's ways, Lord Vader. Your sad devotion to that ancient religion has not helped you conjure up the stolen data tapes.
Uncanny. It seems that NASA's statement was read from the same symbolist script, wouldn't you agree? Well, what else would you expect from a Lucasfilm that loves to hide the truth in plain sight with their dome and stars? To be honest, it's no different to the Disney logo we see here. Anyway, I feel myself drifting off on topic now, so let's end it here for today. But before I do, what are your thoughts on these so-called pictures of Earth I have shown here? Have any of you noticed this before? If so, please let me know in the comments below, and if you haven't already, please subscribe for future content. Like I say in most of my videos, with everything I have shown and talked about today, please just don't take my word for it, and do not believe any man that claims to have the truth, because to be able to find the truth, you need to be willing to research everything for yourselves. Believe, hey? The common word of man that just so happens to have the word lie slapped in the middle. I don't know about you, but I'm done with believing in man-made concepts and manly ways. Instead, I have my eyes set on knowing the truth. And although it may be true that I will never find all the truth in this life, I'm pretty sure I will find the missing pieces of it after I have transitioned into the next. Take care out there, brothers and sisters, and I'll talk to you all again soon for some more Smoking Truth TV.
What we've got here is failure to communicate. Some men you just can't reach. So you get what we had here last week, which is the way he wants it. Well, he gets it. I don't like it any more than you, man.